Hi, I'm Nicholas Burtner with School of Permaculture, and today I got a tip that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, and actually am excited to do it today, which is what is and how to build a graywater planter bed. So let's just get right in. The first thing that we got to think about and realize is one is going to be the size of your graywater bed. There are a couple of versions of graywater beds. There's some off-the-shelf units that they sell in some countries, which are reed beds, reeds like cattails, which are a mop crop, and those are typically how they do it is 1 meter by 1 meter, so 1 square meter per person. So this is a per person sizing. It's a good way to do it, especially if you're going to run a larger organization such as a school or a church. This will be the way to go. Not that aesthetic. However, another benefit to this is going to be that pretty much the reeds are self-propagating. They're almost difficult to get rid of at that point. The second way, so this one is per person. The second way is going to be per fixture, right? And that we can do it at 25 cubic feet. 25 cubic feet per fixture. So where this excels, this one is going to lack. This is specifically designed for family and homestead use. This is going to be designed more for industrial use. And if you are going to use this method for industrial use for a school or a yoga center, we're going to need to make it bigger and depend more on the usage of the water of what fixtures, for instance, a washing machine or a sink that's always running. So that's number one, the sizing. Now, since we're going to be talking more about the planter that we're going to do at a homestead level, there's a couple ways to do that, and I'm going to draw one that we can design and that you can do that's going to be made to build underground to dig. You don't have to dig it; it can be partially submerged or up, but it needs to be at a lower level and not raised up somewhere as a aesthetic feature. Just something to be said. So what we're going to do is come in and dig a hole for the graywater planter, and this is where we're going to build it. So this is going to be 25 cubic feet per fixture. Let's just say there's 4 fixtures in this one, so we're looking at 100 cubic feet. Now you'll notice I put a slope here on the bottom. That's the first thing that's gonna use some mathematics, gonna use some detailing, and that is going to be a slope, and you can make it smaller than this, but just for an average, 1 to 1,000 slope on the bottom. The reason for this is that we're going to use gravity and the slope, so it's almost gravity and orientation in a way, but gravity and slope, to move and push the water to not make it stagnant in times that you're not there. There's an additional thing to do this, but for right now, this is all we need to know. The second thing that we're going to do is that we're going to put in 4-inch PVC pipes. So we'll put those in one on this side and one on this side. Typically at the same corner or alternating corners, depending on what we're gonna do with them. So those go in, and these are 4-inch PVC pipes. And here at the bottom, with a drill and a drill bit, we're gonna perforate them. Like this. And those go all the way down to the bottom. They won't hold them up themselves like this, so that means we have to add the second ingredient, which is going to be large, about like this, about 6 inches or so in diameter, river rock. And that goes, those are big, that goes around the pipe to hold it, one, structurally, but any time that you're dealing with water hitting on or you're pushing water into a surface that's going to have medium in it, or on top of the ground, you're going to need some type of strong, stable surface for the water to hit first, to slow it down and to break it apart to turn into smaller water particles. So the reason that these are here are twofold. One, for structure, and so when the water comes in or goes out, it hits these first to go to our second layer of medium that goes in here. There's only really 3 mediums, but 4 including the rocks. And we're going to put this about halfway. Let's just start here actually. So here, about halfway on the shortest side, we're going to fill the rest up with gravel. Some type of pea gravel. It doesn't need to be very specific. It could, technically, to be all honest with you, it could be urbanite, broken up concrete. But for this sake, and something that's easy to get a hold of in bulk, we're going to say gravel. However, if you are using gravel, just like in all the other tips, make sure you have the ethics of permaculture in mind and that you are sourcing them locally and from a place that either is sustainable or can be, such as places and rivers, or if you have land that has a gravel patch on the soil, way to go. So now we have these large stones, these large river rocks, holding up the 4-inch PVC pipes. We got gravel in here. So as the water comes in here, we'll talk about them in a minute. The water comes in, breaks up the quick water with the large river rock, hits the gravel, and is then pushing downward or pushing towards the slope. Then we're going to come in and we're going to add 2 inches. So it'll be a thin layer. A thin layer of sharp sand. Which is pretty much regular sand. The same place you get the gravel, you can purchase the sand. So we come in here with the sand. Right? And that's going to provide a medium for the roots to kind of really understand and know that they can always go down there and find water. 2 inches. We can use a geotextile in here as well, because this is kind of like a wicking bed, but we're going to really stick with the sand here. On top of the sand, we're going to fill the rest of this up with topsoil. So that is the components, the big baseline of components. What I did leave out here at the very beginning, and I'm going to draw it in now, because I just wanted to get right into the medium, which goes in there in the sizing, but there's some special things that need to happen here. The first thing is, we're going to line this with something called an EPDM liner. That's the first thing we're actually going to put in. And when we put that in, we want to get long nails. They're called pole barn nails. If you're in a developed country, or over-regulated country, I should say, you'll get these at a big box store. And what you want to do is you want to put these in every 12 inches or so, every foot, these pole barn nails. And they have a little disc that you can buy, and the disc kind of goes on top of them from stopping it from ripping. Because once this is punctured, rips all the way. And on that punctured note, once you dig the hole and you see you have maybe some rocky surfaces that you can't do anything about, you might want to put some of that sharp sand in here, help you level it to the slope that you want, because the sand won't move and it will only compact so much. Then put the EPDM liner down, so that way if it is rocky, you're going to be in there later standing around as you're moving the gravel and whatnot in. It doesn't pierce through, the rocks don't pierce through. Very good protection method for that. That's the basics of the organization of the material and the medium. Now let's go to the connection points. So very important, like I mentioned earlier, if you're going to have a water feature of any kind, pond, an IBC tote for harvest, for self-wicking seeds, whatever it is, it needs to be designed with an overflow. So where does that overflow go? So this is 4-inch, so we need a 4-inch to 2-inch T that comes right underneath, it goes right underneath the sand. So here's where the 2-inch PVC pipe will go. And if you don't like PVC, there's alternatives. Just like this. Now, where that goes, you have options. I'm going to do some tips that talk about different septic systems with the septic tanks and leaching fields and aerobic systems. But it just depends on where you're at. I'm currently at our suburban site here in Plano, Texas, and we have one of these in the backyard. We're about to encompass it with something cool. I don't want to give it away. We have videos on it. But where our overflow goes, it actually goes further into the landscape, and we have suburban-sized swales. So our overflow from our washing machines and sinks and all this get cleaned up by the water, and what doesn't, and after it gets cleaned, it then goes out to a swale, so it stays on the property the whole time, and then we eventually eat the food from it, the trees, food trees. Now, the last thing to mention here is how does the water get into it? So you have two different methods that you can choose to use. There's actually more, but these are the two that I would recommend for this. The first one, if you can do it, you'll use that same joint method here that we're talking about. And then this comes out, and then somewhere either outside or in the house, if you're building the house from the ground up, this comes up, and this has a screen of some type, you can buy a screen or a colander, and the water then, your drains are diverted into there. So it gets screened out first, where it's easy to take that out, put it in your compost, your hair and whatnot, and then put that back on. Ideally, you'd want this to be out of the house or in a place where you won't get any odors, because with all the screen comes a bunch of organic matter, which as it's decomposing, and this is wet a lot of the time, it will provide an odor. The other way is, here's your PVC pipe up here. And we can put that same screen up here on the top. So now this is all outside or in your greenhouse or whatnot. So now the water is then piped in here. Right, the drains come here. And that goes in, and then your screen is here. It goes immediately on it, comes in, and goes through the system. And that's it. You guys rock. I love you, and I'll see you next time.